How you doing? My name is David Pick. I am in the physical therapy department. I'm a physical therapist assistant. I've been with Springbrook for 7 years now. So we're here today to talk about braces and orthotics. There are many different styles of braces and orthotics, and there are many differences in how we want to put them on. We're going to talk about all of the things that we can to make you feel comfortable in what you've got to do. The general purpose for braces and orthotics is to support or correct the position of a body part or a limb to improve its function or comfort. All of our orthotics are custom fitted and prescribed by a doctor, so they are not inexpensive and we need to treat them with good care. They all come with a wearing schedule, and we must follow the wearing schedule as prescribed by the therapist. When we look at that foot, we want to look at it before we put the brace on, and we want to be sure that there are no marks on there. Even if the individual is able to put their own sock on, we need to remove that sock and look at that bare foot before putting the brace on, so that if anything were to occur, we can come back to you and say, how did it look before it went on? And hopefully you can say with certainty that it looks good. If you failed to look at the brace, please say, I'm sorry, I forgot to look, and then we will know to do a better job next time, and we'll have to monitor a little more closely. When we take that brace off, if there is discomfort or even when there's not discomfort, we want to take that brace off each time, removing the sock and looking at the brace after it's been worn, or looking at the foot after it's been worn. If we see any redness, it would not be out of the ordinary. What we want to make sure is that redness goes away within 20 to 30 minutes. If in 20 to 30 minutes redness has not gone away, that's when we need to contact your house manager or a supervisor in charge to let them know, let nursing know that there's something going on, and then subsequently we're going to let PT or OT know that there is a brace situation that needs to be addressed. So remember that our braces can break. They are plastic and they are not inexpensive, as we said, so we don't want to just leave them on the floor. If they do get broken, repair can take days or weeks, and just as we said with a sore on the foot, if the individual does not have the brace to wear, then they can't benefit from it. We need to know some of the specifics about our braces and the certain types. This is a hinged brace or orthotic, and we also look at the anatomy that helps us determine what to call this. So this being a brace, an orthotic, or an AFO. The A stands for ankle, the F stands for foot, and the O stands for orthotic. So you may hear that word around your worksite and wonder, what is an AFO? Well, that's what it is. If we had a portion that then helped us to control not just the ankle, but also to come up to help us control the knee, like this type of brace would be a KAFO, knee, ankle, foot orthotic. There are many different styles, so you see that that's just a hinged ankle. This is a hinged knee, but this will also lock into position. Know the specific brace for your individual, know how to put it on, and know specifically which foot, leg, arm it goes on. If we look at this brace, what foot does it go on? So we can make some assessments based on your experience and your knowledge to this date and say that that looks like it might be a right foot. But we don't know with certainty, and sometimes our deformities can cause our feet, hands, legs to be shaped a little more like the other side. So we want a better way to determine that. This brace as well doesn't tell us what foot it goes on. This brace is an AFO, and this is a two-piece AFO. If we look at the inside piece, we should see that there is a sticker on it. And whether or not you can read the letter in the sticker, there is a letter that says R. Obviously, that is a right foot. If you have braces at your location that have that sticker, that's a wonderful thing. If you have braces that are not labeled, then you need to get them in somebody's hands that knows with certainty what foot that goes on and ask them to put a sticker or a mark on there marking it left or right. If you feel with 100% certainty that you know what brace they go on, then please take it upon yourself to put that left or right mark on there so someone else will not make the same mistake. The two-piece AFO must fit inside the correct side. And when we put any brace on our individuals, if they're a fold-over type of brace, we want to be sure to open it wide so that we can scoop them in without scraping them. We want to release them slowly so that we don't snap the plastic onto their skin. Our foot orthotics will often have what we call a Pringle or an instep pad, and that is designed to fit inside this brace between the shell and their sock. You would do that by opening one side of the brace wide, sliding that in, opening the other side of the brace wide, sliding it in, massaging it into place, and seeing that our Velcro aligns with the Velcro for the instep strap. The most critical strap on this, however, is our ankle strap. And if you've ever heard about straps, and whenever you put a strap on an individual, there should be 2-finger width underneath, that does not apply to an ankle strap on an AFO. If we do not make this strap tight, the foot will slide within the brace. That sliding causes friction. Friction causes heat. Heat causes skin breakdown. We'll see that in redness. And if we break it down too far, we'll create a blister. If a blister for you and I can take up to a week to heal, then some of our individuals who are more compromised will take longer for that blister to heal. And as long as there is a blister, they can't wear the brace. So we need to do everything in our power to prevent blisters. In this case, we're going to close that brace around their foot snugly, and we're going to make sure that that ankle strap is good and snug, and we're going to double check it by giving it a little wiggle and make sure it doesn't go up and down. That's how we know that it's nice and properly affixed. We're going to make sure that we put the top strap on, and then we've got our instep pad and our 3 straps. We should be good. What we did not talk about are our socks. We want our socks underneath to be smooth and as wrinkle-free as possible under the brace, because those wrinkles too can help cause some soreness. How do we know there's soreness? We talked about how they're going to perhaps let us know through facial features, through gestures, through sounds. And when we take that brace off, we talked about expecting to see some redness. We expect that redness to go away again in 20 to 30 minutes. Every day, the individuals who wear these braces should get some time off from the braces. We typically give a midday break of 30 to 60 minutes where the braces come off. It's a good chance to get a look at the feet, to let them air out before we put them on for the rest of the day. So continuing with socks, we talked about having socks wrinkle-free within the brace. The other thing to consider is that socks should cover all of the skin under the braces. So if we have a tall brace, we should have a tall sock so that everything is protected. Short brace, short sock. When our individuals wear braces, they will also want to have footwear over the top, sneakers, and it may be your job to go buy that footwear. It is imperative that you take the individual and the orthotic to the store with you. So we're here now to talk about wheelchairs. They are a large part of our population here, our wheelchair users. So why do we use wheelchairs? Well, the purpose is to provide mobility, proper positioning for support, for comfort, and for function. Most wheelchairs are custom fitted and prescribed by a doctor. So if our individuals are well seated and well secured, then they can perhaps use their extremities to the best of their ability. If we are not properly secured, it is much more difficult to be functional in that capacity. So that is one of the things they're doing. A few things that we need to know about wheelchairs. Certainly we need to always lock the brakes before the transfers. There are a variety of brake applications. There are foot brakes, there are hand brakes. Some are up on the canes, the push canes of the wheelchair. Some are down below. Get to know your individual and their wheelchair so that it can be used properly. When handling a wheelchair, do not pull on any of the removable parts like armrests. You want to grab solid frame parts or push canes in order to move the wheelchair. That way things stay in good repair. If you're removing an armrest so that you can perhaps clean a wheelchair, or if you have to get at the straps that you need to remove in order to clean, whenever you're doing that, don't force things that are stuck. Don't use tools on things if you're not approved to do so, and there are very few people who are approved to do so. Please, if there are any issues with the chair, you need to contact physical therapy in order to make those repairs. And please feel free to contact PT with concerns before they become a problem. It's important that you can be aware when you handle wheelchairs. Look, listen, feel for everything you do. And if you look at a chair on the regular basis, you will see one day when something looks a little different. When things get crooked, they were loose to start. So if you can recognize that it's crooked, we can address it before it becomes a problem. If you're familiar with the sound of a chair, every time you handle it, give it a little wiggle, you will hear a change, which again will indicate that something is loose. Or if you hear tick, 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 it may mean that something is inside one of the wheels, a lap belt or a strap that we want to remove before it gets broken. So just by being aware of our chairs, we can help to resolve problems before they become problems. Please keep any loose parts you find. If you happen to see a nut or a screw or anything like that on the floor, pick it up, keep it in your house junk drawer, or you can send that part, if you believe it to be a wheelchair part, over to PT so that we can get it back to the chair that it came off of. It can save a great deal of time when it comes to repair to have the fasteners that we need rather than to have to go to the store to get them. When we're moving our individuals around in their wheelchairs, we do not want to be pushing doors open with the footrests of the wheelchair. We want to back through doorways by turning around. Far too often, footrests get damaged and bent because people push right through. Again, removing parts to clean or adjust, if you will, the straps, you want to make sure that they go back in the same spot. And the easiest way to do that is if you remove a left armrest, you want to put it on the left side, a right armrest on the other side. If they get switched, then things like our lap tray will no longer fit properly. So keep track of those parts. Please do not push the wheelchair when the brakes are on. If you initiate to push and it doesn't move, stop, release the brakes, and then you can go about your business. If it is a hand brake, please use your hand to do so. Do not use your foot to engage the brake. Our chairs often get dirty because our individuals are spending 12+ hours per day in those chairs. Please keep them clean. The easiest way to keep a chair clean is to not get it dirty. So if we can drape to the best of our ability, we can keep anything from soiling it, from their hair clippings during a haircut to foodstuffs at mealtime. Cleaning a wheelchair typically falls on overnight staff to complete. Please do a good job of that, and if you have any questions as to how to clean a wheelchair or ways to make it easier, please contact PT and we can help you do that. When you go to clean this, if you are removing something, if you're unfamiliar how it attaches, say a shoulder strap or a waist strap, and you need to remove it for cleanliness, remove one side only so that the other side can be viewed as a model for how to thread those belts back in place. Remove that one side, wash it, Use the model, put it back on, make sure it's proper, then remove the other soiled side, wash it, and then your first side is now your model for your second side. All right, so we're here to talk about transfer safety. Participants with functional limitations may need assistance for transfers, and our most important aspect is safety. Know your individual, know where they're going, know the proper procedure to get them there, and we use many different types of transfers. You'll see in the video a side-to-side transfer, you'll see a top-bottom transfer, and we will be showing you a stand-pivot transfer where you would assist the individual to a standing position. They have the ability to support their body weight, so then you can assist that individual to turn and sit into the next location, whether it be a bed, a commode, a wheelchair, a couch, any type of assisted transfer. Use only the approved type of transfer. So if that individual is a side-to-side lift, use a side-to-side lift. If they are only a top-bottom, you will not use a side-to-side lift to make that transfer. Use mechanical lifting if available. So we have a couple of different types of mechanical lifts. They're often referred to as Hoyer lifts, and those are for individuals that exceed our lifting limits. Our individual lifting limit is 50 pounds, and that is a recommended limit. The day may come where you're expected to exceed that, but that will be on an as-needed basis. An example of that is you take an individual on an outing. They need to have their personal care taken care of, and you do not have a mechanical lift. At that point, you will need to exceed your recommended lifting limit for just that instant. Whenever you're doing those transfers, you want to make sure that those two locations are as close as they can be. If the individual is in a wheelchair, you want it as close to that bed or commode as possible. If that wheelchair has swing away or removable leg rests, you are best served to remove the leg rest. If you swing it away, your chair can still only get to within a few inches of the desired surface. Removing it gets you right next to it. Again, safety is the most important consideration, so do everything you can to do it that way. Please, if you need assistance, ask and wait for assistance. It will come. When you're doing that transfer, again, you're setting up your area, you're making sure that the path is clear. There's no clothing on the floor, no wires, nothing that is going to impede your progress and cause a safety consideration. Communicate with the individual to let them know where you're going, and of course with your transfer partners who are helping you. The individual who is in the heaviest weight position, an example of a top-bottom lift, the person in the top will have most of the load. That individual should be counting time. We will lift on 3. 1, 2, 3. That way the communication keeps everybody prepared and everybody moving safely. If the individual that you're transferring has the ability to assist, ask them to assist. Even if they don't have the direct ability to assist, ask them to try. Because if we're not asked to try something, we're not given the opportunity to try, and therefore we have no hope of being able to do it. So ask. Always use good body mechanics during these transfers and with any lifting techniques. When we're transferring that individual, hold them as close to you as possible. One, because that friction will help your body mechanics. Your load is closer. The friction keeps them attached to you. It will also make them feel more secure, that close feeling. Provide support to weak limb or body parts. So we want, if they don't have control of something, we don't want it moving around or getting in the way during a transfer. Make sure we support it and control it. We want to ensure that their feet don't twist. So if we know we're coming from one chair to the other, imagine yourself in that position and see where your feet will end up. Position their feet towards that ending position so there'll be less twist. Check their position after the transfer, especially if you put them in a wheelchair. You need to make sure that they're fully seated back in that wheelchair for proper positioning. If during that transfer they change their position and they're not all the way back, they will not be comfortable, and then we can have problems down the road. So transfer them into that seat, double check their position. If they're not in good position, reposition them again, and then secure their lap belt or see that they're secure in their bed, commode, or whatever that position is. Stop the transfer if you feel that you or they are not secure at any time. Stop. If anything goes wrong, if they begin to fall, if you begin to fall, our duty is to protect them with our body during the event, so we need to shield them. Do not attempt a transfer if you don't think you can manage it. Even if they say, or it is written that it is a one-person transfer, if you have any concerns, please ask for assistance. Don't ever hesitate to ask for help. Don't grab onto the individual's clothing during a transfer or if they begin to fall. Do not ignore safety for the sake of speed or convenience. If you are waiting for an individual to come and help you, and you have other people that you have to take care of, you still must wait for assistance to come. And please don't forget to communicate. What we're going to do is a top-bottom two-person lift. We're going to take him from his wheelchair and we're going to put him to this chair over here. We're looking at our setup so that there is easy flow from one chair to the other. I'm going to support his legs, and I'm also going to come in more from the side to support his bottom weight on 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're there.
1, 2, 3. Good stuff.
And the next lift that we're going to show you is going to be a two-person side-to-side lift. Anytime you want to do a lift, you have to imagine who's doing it, where you're going, and make sure that that flow works well. So if we're going to do a side-to-side, if I were here, I want to step through and put my individual in the seat. So I want to make sure I have enough room to do that. Okay, we want to secure that wrist. We want to keep close to our individual. We want to secure under the leg. Make sure the lap belt and foot straps and chest straps are off before you do the lift. All partners are ready. Colby, are you ready? We're going over to the chair. 1, 2, 3. And done. So we're also going to show a one person. Because of Colby's size, he is under the 50-pound weight limit, so one person can safely do it. And that would be scooping under the legs and around the back, supporting, in his case, his head, making sure there's enough room to comfortably get him where he needs to be. Okay, so if we're thinking about a stand pivot transfer, we have to think, how does an individual stand? And we do not just stand up, we roll forward over our feet and then we stand up. So when we transfer that individual, think of that. Move them forward and assist them to stand over their feet. So when we're preparing our individual to transfer, we know that we want these two surfaces as close as possible. And I have to imagine that when they sit here, what position are their feet going to be in? So when they sit here, their feet will point in that direction. And when they sit here, they point 90 degrees. So I can turn their feet before the transfer to put less stress on their ankles. So I turn their feet a little bit, I roll them to stand, and then they sit, and there's much less force there.